welcome to your weekly matinee. Tag, you're it. My name is Philip. I'm one of your hosts. Today we're talking about Tag.
I'm Nate. I'm another one of your hosts.
I'm Matt, and nice opening there. Clever joke.
I just love how you get more and more excited every week when you say hello.
You're smacking
Episode-
me like,
hello there.
Episode
Good morning
50.
to you.
Episode 50 is going to be hello and welcome to your weekly matinee.
Please no.
I'm just keeping the energy level high.
I'm gonna do it next week.
I'm just gonna get a
And I'm just
megaphone
gonna be
out.
Hello. Welcome to your weekly.
I'm just gonna whisper it and be like, hello.
We're talking about Tag today.
All right.
What do we start with? Negatives?
Negatives.
I always
Negatives.
forget.
We're like how many episodes in?
This will be our
Unprofessional, Phil.
sixth episode with this format.
With the new format.
Yeah.
Unprofessional, Phil.
So yeah,
Unprofessional.
Tag.
I don't know. I'm trying to run a successful stream, you know.
Strum. He's got a strum, guys. He's got a
Stram.
Twitch.tv.
Heaven forbid you miss a stream,
No,
so we gotta
take
go,
that
Nate.
out. We're not plugging you. All right. So negatives. So Tag. We're talking about Tag. That's an excellent movie. Ed Helms, John Hamm.
I thought it was nah.
Really?
Fine.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jeremy Renner.
Jeremy Renner, John Hamm, Ed Helms,
Hannibal Buress. I love Hannibal Buress. Isla Fisher.
Ella Fisher.
Mark Hamill,
Leslie Bibb.
Carrie Fisher.
With your host Steve Martin.
Isn't that Leslie Bibb?
Live from New York, it's Saturday night.
Bobby
Moynihan.
Bobby Moynihan.
All right, guys. So Matt, you clearly are the one that disliked it the most. So what do you?
So Matt hated this movie.
Yeah, Matt
Oh yeah, it
hated
sucks.
this movie.
It's the worst movie ever made.
All right, so let's give our backgrounds on it. Me and Matt went to go see this in the theaters. This is Phil's first time watching it, and me and Matt loved it in the theaters.
Did you rewatch it?
I watched it again, and I
you?
still
I
loved
rewatched
it.
it this morning.
I still loved it, and Matt watched it again. He apparently hated it.
Right.
All right, Matt, why don't you like this movie?
A lot of the time it's just needlessly raunchy, and a lot of the characters are just kind of boring.
I never really got raunchy from this movie.
Yeah.
I never. I've seen a lot worse.
Also,
you know?
I feel like you're kind of giving a comedy BS for being a comedy.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like,
Comedies are
oh, there wasn't any intelligent humor in it. Like,
that wasn't. I don't think that was.
I'm not
no,
saying
I know, but like,
I'm not
like
saying-
raunchy.
No, I mean like.
I'm not saying raunchy's bad. I'm just saying like
Well, you brought it up during the negatives, Matt.
I said needlessly.
Well, give us an example. I don't think there was a whole lot of raunchiness in this movie.
And any that
It
there
really
was
wasn't.
warranted.
All right, Matt, why don't you like this movie?
No,
Give us a
be
reason.
raunchy.
Give us a reason.
Stop looping around.
During one of the scenes where they're trying to get Jerry in his house,
Yeah.
and then it's just
Oh,
a bunch of juvenile humor where he punches Ed Helms' ass.
Yeah.
Like
that wasn't in the house.
That was at the wedding place.
Yeah, that was at the venue.
the wedding place, yeah,
Yeah.
the venue. But
I thought
So
you were
it's
going to
just-
talk about when he was going to come on the teddy bear.
that's another one where he was about to masturbate.
Yeah, but those are the only two situations.
Also, I don't think the ass punching was played.
that was not raunchy.
Yeah.
It was just more juvenile.
That's
than
what
anything
this
else.
movie was. It was about childhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was about being.
It's supposed to
It's a
be.
game of
But
tag
yes, but-
that they're playing as adults. You know what I mean? Like they're supposed to be children in this sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And about the characters, like maybe they're a little underdeveloped, but like you have to think about the kind of movie you're watching.
I also feel like their development isn't the point.
Yeah,
My issue wasn't with
exactly,
the development. My issue is just that they're not like interesting or fun.
Yeah,
Like,
but
I'm
I
not
feel
saying
like-
developed. It's just
But I feel like for a character to be interesting and fun, it's sort of implied that they have to grow.
Like this movie wasn't a movie of subtlety. You know what I mean? We have all of our immediate characterizations. We have one of the anxiety-ridden, depressed friends. We
Weed
have
bro.
the weed bro. We have our businessman.
guy.
We have our
Arrogant.
house dad.
stoner.
Arrogant, smart guy, weed bro,
We have our house dad.
unconfident guy,
Our
and-
jock.
and then the like
You know what I mean? Like
quintessential black guy.
that's
what it-
just
that's
like
what it
No,
was.
it was an anxiety,
He's
just
the,
like
he's the token guy. Okay?
No,
we have, like-
because the anxiety
He's the
and,
depressed-
and
the
unsureness
anxiety
was
depressed guy.
yeah. Well,
what was his name?
Hannibal Buress is guy. His name?
Hannibal Buress is the actor's name. I don't remember what his name was in the movie. I don't remember anyone's name in the
The
movie.
one who gets cancer.
Oh, Ed Helms.
Ed Helms.
I don't remember anyone's name in the movie.
Oh, his character was like the unsure one.
He's like the really dorky.
Unsure?
Yes, because he's like it's even pointed out in the movie. By the
I
way,
never get him as unsure.
it is explicitly stated in the film
When?
during the AA scene.
What? What does he say?
Jeremy Renner's character is like he's got a good shot at me, and if it weren't for his unconfidence, he'd be able to get me.
Oh, well, I mean, that's just like one part of his character.
No, but it's sort of strewn throughout the film.
Sort of. Not
More-
as much.
More than the other guy.
But, like, back to Matt's point, like, these characters are very straightforward. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we have our very immediately one-dimensional
they're
characterizations.
archetypes.
Well, that's
Yeah.
because it makes comedy
Exactly.
easy. It's
It's-
hard
it's
to write
very-
comedy for a character that's also developing.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Not exactly that. I mean, it's hard, but
It's
I mean,
harder
and
than
then-
the writers of this movie needed it to
then
be.
think about how many characters we have. Like, no one in this was going into this movie thinking they were going to make this impactful story. You know what I mean?
And again, it's not supposed to be anything deep. It's just supposed to be a fun, silly comedy. But I feel like even like the slapstick, I felt was kind of weak.
What slapstick?
Like the ass punching. Which,
Like
by the
that.
way, great slapstick.
I'll give credit to the sound team, I guess, for making it look like it actually hurts.
What?
Yeah, I get what you're saying there, but I feel like that's more visual effects side
Yeah.
because they were really
And,
giving
like,
you
yeah,
the
the-
impact.
I don't know. On both those points, raunchy and characters, I felt like the movie was exactly what it needed to be. You know what I mean? Like,
It wasn't.
archetypes,
It wasn't
you know?
claiming to be something it wasn't.
Exactly.
I feel
yeah.
at least.
You know what I mean? Like, and honestly, I've seen movies that are way more needlessly raunchy
Like
than that movie.
like Adam Sandler's in it.
Like, I guess another example would be like when
Adam
sorry, you were
Sandler?
saying.
What Adam Sandler movie?
Grown Ups. Seen Grown Ups?
I've seen Grown Ups. I don't remember that one being raunchy.
No, I'm trying to think of a movie Sandler was in.
While you're thinking of that, I'll bring up another scene like Hannibal Buress is talking
Cobbler?
to his therapist.
8 Crazy Nights.
What? Is it Crazy Nights?
Yeah, that's
I've never
Adam
seen Eight
Sandler's
Crazy Nights.
Adam Sandler's animated Hanukkah movie. That's not a joke, Nate.
I've never seen
Where
that before.
deer lick a dude covered in crap.
All right.
Kicking and screaming.
That wasn't
That
was
wasn't
an Adam
Sandler.
Sandler.
That was Will Ferrell.
That was Will Ferrell.
But that was an amazing movie.
They're basically the same.
No,
They're the same
how dare
person.
you? Will Ferrell. Is
They're in the
much
same
different.
camp. They're in the same
They're in
camp.
the same camp, but they're
That's
different.
why they're the same.
All right.
Like in the scene where Hannibal Buress is talking to his therapist to keep bringing up his penis.
Well, that goes back to juvenile. Like, I never thought that was raunchy. I just felt like that
Yeah,
was
I
very
guess- I
that was
guess
childish.
Juvenile is the
conversations.
better word to use. I feel like I should have said that, and it just didn't really work for me.
I feel like it worked for me because I kind of was going in with knowing that this was a very movie that was centered about
Children.
going back to childhood, pretty much, like remembering what it was like to be a kid.
Dude, I would...
You know what I mean?
Because, like, the concept of this movie is really cool. I would love to try to do something like that.
Just set it up with
Yeah.
a couple friends.
Yeah. Like,
That would be cool.
Like, just a month is
Set
tag.
out for
It's just
fun,
tag.
yeah.
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 Like, go about your normal business, but
Yeah, that would be cool.
it would be very cool.
It's funny because like this movie is based off of a true story, loosely based. You know,
It's based off the concept is the same, but the whole story
the whole
is
story is
completely,
different,
completely made up.
Dude, speaking of which, those wholesome clips during the credits.
the end, yeah.
Oh, it's
those guys,
so
you love it.
it's so cute.
I love
yeah,
it.
that was really great.
I love. Honestly, I just love this movie because it's just a very nice palate cleanser. You know what I mean?
I'm
It's
sorry.
so much
I'm still on the
fun.
clips. I love.
Clips.
They
I
were
love
very
just
cute.
I just love like you can see like the genuine smile on the guy's faces when he's like he takes like the mascot helmet off. He's like so happy.
They're
It's-
having
yeah.
so much fun.
I like
Yeah.
when they're like dressing up.
Yeah.
And like disguises.
well,
against
like the
each
old
other.
woman outfit was taken directly.
in the movie.
It's funny
Yeah.
that they actually worked though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in those situations, it's funny. I really.
Like it's a very humorous concept.
Yeah.
And I like well the concept like you could argue is like tag for 1 month straight with adults, but it's not. The concept is that having an article written about it because that article is real
Yes, it was.
and that's what that movie is based on.
So, do we have any other negatives?
I want to find that article.
Real
Bad, actually.
What is it, New York Times?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Matt, were you the only one that really had negatives?
Yeah.
Well, I have a negative.
Well, I mean, me and
the
Phil,
one that we all agree on.
Yeah, I think we all can.
Literally, I think the whole cancer thing could have been fixed if, like, just earlier in the movie they had a scene where it was him and his wife, and she was just
In the
like,
beginning.
"When are you gonna tell them?"
They used the Chekhov's gun rule. Like if you have are you familiar with Chekhov's gun?
Yeah, place a gun in Act 1, you have to use it by Act 3 or
Yeah,
whatever.
but they didn't put it in Act 1.
Yeah, they
That's
just
the
used it
problem.
in Act 3.
Yeah.
Like, if the movie had opened with him in a doctor's office,
I feel like that would have been too on
It
the
would have been
nose.
too on the
Yeah,
nose,
like,
probably.
there's-
But if they had opened it in
like,
in the sense of us
Just a
knowing
little
he
throwaway
has,
line. That's all they needed.
If they had opened it with the sense of that we know he has cancer and that he may die, maybe that would have fixed.
No, I don't even think it should be like he has cancer. It should be like he's hiding something.
What, he's just hiding something?
Yeah, that's why I think
we kind of get that sense though
I don't.
throughout the movie.
I
'Cause even
think-
Isla Fisher is very concerned for him throughout a lot of the movie. In certain scenes, she like goes to him as like, "Are you okay?" You know.
Well, that's just being
It's just
human.
a wife being supportive of
I think if it was...
I know, but it's
caring
more
for
so
her
in like.
husband.
I think
I don't know.
literally the line, like, "When are you going to tell them?" is important. Like, don't say, like, what he's hiding. Just like, oh, he has a big secret. Like, there's a reason he's getting them all together other than playing tag, kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like it should have been introduced earlier. It was just too much of a, like, it was a screenwriter's tactic. You know what I mean? It's like one of the lazier ways to introduce drama into a film is just by throwing in someone has cancer or someone's dying or something happened.
Someone has the bad disease.
It's exactly like, you know what I mean? Like take a really great example of this is The Big Sick. You know, like the whole movie is based around his girlfriend getting sick. You know what I mean? Which is a very just random thing, but it's done so well in this movie, in The Big Sick. You know what I mean? It's very different from Tag. That is like it's just randomly.
Another movie that's also inspired by a real story, right?
Yeah, The Big Sick is based off of Camille
I feel-
Nanjiani's life.
Go ahead.
Can I also just say? So you were saying before about this movie, like it doesn't take itself seriously. It's very cartoony and juvenile. So I feel like there was a bit of a missed opportunity here. So before they go to the wedding, they tell Jake Johnson, the weed bro guy, asks John Hamm if he could borrow a tie and only a tie.
Uh-huh.
How funny would it have been if he just showed up in his casual clothing and
just a tie.
Just a tie?
Just a
Like,
tie.
how hilarious would that be?
I thought you were going to say just the tie.
No, not just a tie. Like his casual clothing, like his hoodie and everything, but including a tie.
That's
I know
honestly-
a few people who would do that.
You made me think of another part between that guy and John Hamm. How that was honestly one of my only other negatives. The cancer part, and which was random, and the two John Hamm's battle with Jake Johnson over the girlfriend.
It was. I get why they did that because
I get it.
Jeremy Renner invited her so that intentionally to throw them off.
I completely get it, but
My
it
issue is
was
that they
sort of
keep
random.
shoving her
Exactly.
into the plot.
Yeah, she really served no purpose past that scene.
Like
You know?
it would have been fine to have her in that scene, and then
Uh-huh.
they kept shoving her into the movie, and that's when it got annoying.
It just served no purpose and it was a little random. Which once again, I could see from a screenwriting perspective that this was just kind of like a random, fun movie
They tried to have a
that brought back
subplot, which-
things from childhood.
Yeah.
I really like towards the beginning and like middle, they have like one to introduce what's her name? She's in Parks and Rec. What's her name?
The girlfriend?
Yeah.
Oh, I forget her name. She was in The Office.
Her
Yeah, she was in Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, right? She was in the.
Yeah, she played
She's also on that Steve Carell show. I forget.
who did she play in Parks and Rec?
Wait, Anne?
Anne. Yeah, she played Anne. Anne Perkins.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they introduced her character, they had like a little like flashback, almost documentary looking kind of thing. I really liked those. I thought those were really charming.
Like the little flashbacks, like when Ed Helms finds Hannibal Buress in the car. You know what I mean? I did love the flashbacks, and honestly, like we're still on negatives, right?
I don't know, man.
All right, like any other negatives we want to get out?
I guess like the whole like metaphor with Jeremy Renner's character with the hammer in, because he's like the only one who hasn't been tagged, and like he's avoiding them, and like he didn't invite them to the wedding, like hasn't kept in touch with them, like he's avoiding them both in the game and in real life. Do you get it yet?
Yeah, but once again, this movie isn't subtle.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, And like,
You're blaming a comedy for being a comedy. For being a comedy first.
yeah,
And like
see,
a story
I
second.
super liked that theme because it was just sort of like it was so childish. You know what I mean?
Can I tell you how this movie came about? Somebody sat down and was like, "Hey, that tag article is really cool. We should write a movie about adults playing tag."
And have for me have fun with it.
What? Yeah, like what's the concept there? Like that's as far as they got, basically.
I think they knew going in that this was just gonna be a fun movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they were just like, all right, let's just.
I want to write a serious version of this movie.
I think this movie was from the writer of Hall Pass.
Like, I wouldn't have such an issue with how they had to develop the characters, but the thing is, the movie keeps taking like breaks in between, like all the funny
All the
tag
action
moments.
to
So like, and the characters have like conversations that aren't necessarily funny. So like, the movie's clearly trying to,
I don't
Trying
know
to
about
what?
that. Like develop the characters.
like, not heavily, but not like this a big art film, but like you can clearly tell they're trying to give some bit of depth in there, like a little bit.
They're giving us heavy-handed flashbacks, but I don't think that's necessarily they're ever like, man, I want you to care about these characters so much. You know what I mean? Which I do grow to by the end of the movie. I care about them in a
Yeah, me
sense.
too.
You know what I mean? Like, but like it was through the heavy-handedness that I began to care about them. It's the same way in like Expendables, which is, to me, I love that movie, but like a lot of people would consider it not a great movie.
Never seen it.
I care about those characters so much by the end of it, even though they're extremely heavy-handedly created. You know what I mean?
You might say they're expendable.
Get out.
That wasn't. Wow,
Get out.
It was excellent.
Get out.
No.
We had one rule.
No puns.
What was the rule?
No puns.
No
I
puns.
cannot go with no puns. I can't do that.
All right,
You
so
can leave the podcast. I'm
so
kidding.
Matt, you just have an issue with the characters and the way they were developed, pretty much.
I guess if you want to put it that way, my issue is that I wouldn't have an issue with how they developed if the movie didn't spend so much time with it. Which that's just from my point of view.
Speaking of taking so much time with it, when this movie was being marketed, I remember they like really pushed Jeremy Renner, and he was in it.
Because
But like they
He was
pushed
a big part.
they pushed him as if he was the
like
part.
a prominent role.
Because he was.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They pushed him as if he was the star, and I
Which I can see
assume
why, because-
I assume that was in his contract, honestly. But like when you get to the movie, like I sat down thinking like, oh, this is gonna
You're
be
gonna
really
watch Jeremy Renner.
yeah.
Jeremy Renner show.
I thought because like when you put this movie on the list, I was like, oh, with Jeremy Renner. Like, he's like nowhere near the star. He's like
Yeah, he's barely in it.
yeah, he's a supporting character.
Let's just point
Which
out that
I get why they
in-
did that, because he's such a big actor.
Oh yeah,
in however many Marvel movies he never got injured, but in Tag he broke both arms, and he broke both of his arms, and they had to use CGI
oh during the film.
throughout the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's not doing that
Poor
much
guy.
in Marvel.
Oof, that's a burn.
He's not though.
That's a burn.
I love
That's
Hawkeye.
a straight burn. Oh, we love you, Jeremy Renner.
Hawkeye was my favorite character in the first Avengers movie.
At least,
When I was young.
at least
When I was young.
love you, Jeremy Renner. I'm not sure about Phil. Phil.
I love him.
I
a little
literally
questionable.
just said. So, Matt, do you want to like, I guess, move it towards positives?
Okay, so for all this movie's, for all I've been saying about it, for all I've been ragging on, so easily
Ragging.
funniest part about this movie, Isla Fisher. She was hilarious.
She was the like
The white-
overly
yeah, yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
You know? Dude, she was my least favorite part.
Really?
Yeah. I just kept thinking like, oh come on, shut up.
I just love
It was so annoying to
She
me.
kept that movie afloat for me.
Oh, I don't think kept afloat, but I actually think she was the highlight
Jeremy
of the
Renner
movie.
is the best part of this movie, in my opinion. I love like hearing his inner monologue about like oh, this is what is happening here.
The whole scene where they're all giving an inner thoughts.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
That was a good. That was actually really
That's my
funny.
favorite scene.
For me, honestly, no one person kept it afloat, but I just
Oh,
just-
yeah,
I just
no,
loved
I agree.
everyone.
It was the entire team kept it afloat, but Jeremy Renner was my
Just love
favorite.
Jeremy
of it.
Renner, yeah.
Yeah, I like him in general. I think he's
Yeah, I like
he's a
Jeremy
really
Renner, too.
charming actor.
He was the only reason why I liked The Bourne Identity.
Didn't say it.
It's an entertaining movie. It's some pretty cool scenes. Honestly, my favorite part, I don't know. I just love this movie as a whole. But honestly, the soundtrack, I love the soundtrack of this movie.
I like during the credits, they're all singing.
They're all singing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that.
that's really charming.
I love the whole soundtrack of this movie. Like running, back in the day. I love back.
There was
in
like
the day.
wasn't. Am I thinking of something else? There was like a Gangster's Paradise thing, wasn't there?
No, there was no,
No.
Gangster's Paradise wasn't.
It
in
wasn't.
I could have
movie.
sworn there was something very close to when I was watching it, at the very least, that played it. I absolutely adored the Welcome to the Jungle scene. That was
Yeah.
so funny to me.
I think
That was a Crazy Train, not Welcome to the Jungle.
Oh, you're right.
Oh,
Whatever.
check
That
the,
was a
Yeah, but-
great scene, though.
You knew what I was talking about.
check,
but yeah.
check the rhyme. I think was in it, and Shake Your Rump. You know, Beastie Boys, Tribe Called Quest.
This movie was very charming.
Very charming.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you didn't like it, Matt.
I can
Yeah,
certainly
Matt
see. I
hated
can certainly
this
see the
movie.
charm to it. Oh yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, Matt hated it. Honestly, I loved just like how nice the message was. You know what I mean? It was friendship. You know what I mean? Like that was the point of the movie, was just friends being friends and learning how to be friends again. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just loved how there was like no unnecessary conflict, because they could have easily made, for example, John Hamm be a jerk. You know what I mean? Like, he's giving an interview. How dare you interrupt me during my interview? You know what I mean? In the beginning of the movie, but he actually just tries to break glass and get away, which I love. You know, there was
that was really charming.
there was
too.
no unnecessary drama. It was just straight up a fun movie.
Yeah, I feel like this was the first movie I've seen comedy in a while where I've seen like the characters don't all be like, fine, I don't even want to talk to you anymore. You know,
like when everyone was I was so happy that they made everyone so willing to play the game.
In fact, it was sort of like the opposite happened, where it was just like, yeah, like maybe it's time to just give up the game and like be adults for a second. You know,
when like, no, that wasn't it, and I'm so happy that it did that, because the second I watched it first time in theaters, I totally thought that the
two-
John Hamm was gonna be like, why
He was gonna
am I
be the
still
guy to
doing
give
this?
up.
You know, like, why are you guys interrupting me? I'm a very important businessman. You know, how dare you interrupt me?
I don't have time for childish
Exactly, but, like,
games
I
and
just-
strokes his goatee.
I just love that there was no point in this movie where like anyone was like, I don't want to be involved in this. Like, this is stupid. You know what I mean?
well, there wasn't any
But
point
they're all
in the
willing to
movie.
play-
There
they all-
wasn't. Go ahead.
They're all having fun.
yeah.
I was gonna say there's no point in the movie where somebody says I don't want to be involved in this and it doesn't feel earned. You know, like when Cancer Boy has
Ed Helms.
yeah.
I forget their names.
When he's just like, it's time to give it up, man. It's time to grow up. It's like, yeah, I see where he's coming from. Like, I feel like a lot of their reasoning, and honestly, I guess it is a little bit of character development, flows very nicely.
They like trick us by the end of the movie into learning that there is a developed character. You know, throughout most of the movie, we're like, oh, these are just very baseline characters. By the end of the movie, you're like, man, I've like come to learn who these guys are. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice.
It's a movie about family.
It's subtle, like, and especially if
It's about
you
family.
if you go in thinking this is gonna be like deep in any sense, it's gonna ruin the movie for you. You know what I mean? Like, if you go in expecting anything more than a comedy, but it was a nice surprise, because like when I went to go see theaters, I was expecting to be watching a bad movie. Why
did you go see it then?
I don't know. I was like, Jonathan invited us to go see it or something,
Yeah.
and
I
so
think-
we
I
just
think-
went. It was just gonna be, I thought it was just gonna be a fun movie to rag on, or whatever. But it was just a legitimately fun movie. You know, it was good.
It was all because of Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, exactly.
He was the heart and soul.
He was.
He carried this movie on his back, broke his arms for it.
He was the star of this movie.
What was
That's
it?
why his name appears at the
There was more CGI.
end of the poster.
There was more CGI used in this movie than Jurassic Park.
Was it really?
Yeah, I think that was the line. I may be
Was
completely
it
wrong.
for his arms?
Yeah,
That's funny.
I think so.
That's actually really funny because now I have the image of Jeremy Renner walking around
Green
set
screen
like,
like
this.
like this. And they have to
Can you
CGI his
imagine
arms.
if they did like the thing where, where someone else puts their own arms and the whole time it's somebody else's arms?
That'd be
Honestly,
so funny.
I love the way this movie sort of.
It's a stunt double and they CG his face on.
That's probably what they
They
did.
put a Snapchat filter on.
Oh, you know
Jeremy
what? That
Renner.
is probably what they did.
That's probably what they did.
Yeah,
For a
Or
lot
they
of
just
it.
CGI Jeremy Renner.
entirely.
They did it with Paul Walker.
Aw, no, they used his brother
Yeah.
at the end of the
No,
movie.
there were occasional shots where they do CG Paul Walker.
Well, I mean, when
but it was
when he's jumping
Not for
from
like
car to
but-
car.
not for like whole.
But I'm pretty
scenes,
sure when it was like those shots, I'm pretty sure they still had his brother in as like almost like
And his
stand-in.
brother looks very similar to him.
Yes.
And then they just CGI'd him to look even more like him.
Weren't they? There was discussions a little while back about bringing his character back. I thought I heard that somewhere.
I mean, maybe,
never
but like I
heard
would
that, 'cause
not
I
like
don't-
that.
I'm not super into Fast and Furious
I
personally.
neither.
Nor am I.
7 was a good movie.
I really like
but-
some of the songs to have come out of it.
8 sucked. 8 was horrible. Sorry, this is not the Fast Cast.
That is
but-
such a good podcast name.
Cast. I'm sure people have done that.
If
have
not,
taken
we're
it.
taking it.
No, we're just stealing the
We're just
name.
taking the name.
Welcome back to your Fast Cast.
Full reformatting, boys.
Yeah, but I just really liked. Honestly, once again, I even said this with the When Marnie Was There podcast.
Fastcast.
But like, honestly, I just love the themes. You know what I mean? Like, it was a very just It was a very just like nice and happy movie. You know what I mean? There was nothing heavy. I really liked that idea of like being friends with your friends. You know what I mean? Like everyone was just happy and in it.
Imagine that.
Yeah. And even like when I feel like this movie really suspended reality very well because Jeremy Renner was such like a god in the movie. Like even in the mall scene,
He's very much
he's
like a superhero.
Flips, yeah, exactly. He, like flips with the walker or whatever. And it's just like I really love how they never tried to inject like Ed Helms being like, I hate you for not letting me tag you. It was very just like they were having a conversation while he was on the floor. You know what I mean?
Well,
Because like, there's
I
no
just liked-
friends.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a game.
But
There are
like,
no,
I liked how they kept it a game throughout
Yeah.
the movie,
Mhm.
where they could have easily made it like a
Or made
dramatic.
him the villain.
Yeah, they could easily
Yeah.
could have made the movie dramatic, but in a.
I
bad
like
way,
how they
I think.
did that. I like
Yeah,
how
yeah.
they made it like a fun.
That was
game.
another one of my favorite bits when he's very obviously won that portion, like or that scene. They just have like a nice little chat. Like
They treat every single thing with him as of like a nice, friendly moment. Like
Like-
even when he dives out the window in the beginning.
like you okay, man?
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone was like, "Oh man, he got away." They were all just like, "Oh, this is still a game," you know. Honestly, the only part that got serious was when he was stuck in the kitchen before the wedding, and Leslie Bibb came in and was like, "I'm having a miscarriage."
Although that turned out to be fake.
Exactly, but that's my point. They tried to inject the drama-centric part into it, and then
That's a joke.
a
Then
few
they were
minutes
like,
later,
"Ah,
then it was just
trick
kind of
you."
like, yeah, no, that was fake. And then they like went along with that. Honestly, the best line to come out of this movie is, "It's gonna be a miscarriage of justice."
No,
It's
my favorite out of context line is, "I'm gonna be so pissed if she doesn't have a miscarriage."
Exactly. I'm not saying you deserve a miscarriage.
I'm just saying that's what
But
you
if
get.
you had miscarriage,
It's what you get.
welcome back
It's-
to your weekly miscarriage.
It's so. Oh my goodness, that was.
We'll go back to Miss.
It was so unexpected because I totally thought they were gonna make it real in the movie.
distasteful.
And then
Yeah,
like
I did
when
too.
I was in theaters, I was just like, man, that is so stupidly funny. That was just awesome that they just made it fake. Oh.
I know we're past fixes, but
Oh,
I'm
just
literally just thought of
It
this.
doesn't matter.
So like the whole like when he dives and misses, and then like oh no, his cancer acts up or whatever.
His
Whatever.
cancer acts up.
Yeah, like I don't know what it's supposed to be.
It
Cancer is off
flares
the
up
chart.
a little.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, right?
His
But, like,
cancer is off the
I
chart.
feel like-
I feel like
like-
he can't exert himself too much.
Yeah, but I feel like if it had been like he was running up to tag him, if he like there was like just one shot of him like within oh no face, you know, like
Yeah.
like this is happening
Uh-huh.
kind of thing. Like it could have been so much better.
I just love how they did the suspended reality with that scene where he like tags him and they're like hugging and then it's just like him dive.
I thought that was the end of the movie.
Down. Yeah.
I thought that was the end of the movie. I was like, oh cool.
But, like,
Tricked ya.
even that, they could have totally added like a whole part where like Leslie Bibb is super angry with him, and like Jeremy Renner's like, "How dare you disrupt my wedding?" Like even after he passes out, they could have done like an angry moment, but they never do that. It's sort of like, okay, we're married, but are you okay, friend? You know. And then they lead into.
I don't like how the bride was like in on it the whole time though. Like It was just annoying.
She was probably the most annoying character in the movie.
But the only female character I was okay with in this movie was the reporter. Honestly, I think all the other female characters are really annoying.
She was. I found her to be the most boring.
She was
exactly.
I don't know. She was a useless character, but
She was meant as the audience character.
Yeah.
She
But,
asked the same questions that we would.
By the
ask.
way, would like to clarify. All for women in movies and all that, obviously. However, the women in these movies, I feel like, were so over dramatic and overly what they were that it was almost sexist in and of itself, and that bothered me.
I never got that.
Oh, look at the woman, she's
all.
crazy.
No, I don't think they were doing that with Isla Fisher. I just took her as like
A little. I'm not saying that was their character trait. I'm saying that's what it
I
comes
just took
off
her as
as.
more of like an into it character. She's more.
She was
intense.
very aggressive.
No, yeah, I get that, but I feel like that's sort of like.
I never took it as like a female targeted movie.
No,
Like,
yeah, but I'm
targeted
just saying
scene,
like.
you know, take
But
targeted
I
character.
just feel like it's like, aha, look, she's really into it or whatever. Or, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess you could draw that.
Like she treats it like a sport.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I never took this movie as like specifically pointing out gender differences.
No, I don't
I
either.
never
I'm
saw
just
that
saying
either.
that's what it comes off as. I'm not saying the movie's going out of its way to do that, but it feels like that's what it's accomplished.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
The wife also, like in the emergency room or whatever, she's still like not the wife, the bride.
Leslie Bibb.
What?
Leslie Bibb. That's her name.
Whatever.
I think it's her name.
I don't care.
I'll check.
Her character is just like they're like, oh, you might be the best in the country, and she's like, yeah, and it's like, dude,
It is in fact Leslie Bibb.
I don't have anything else to say about this movie though. I hated it. I'm joking.
Excuse me.
I didn't hate it. I thought
I
it
love
was
this movie.
average.
I will continue to watch this movie over and over again, and I will still enjoy
Our
it.
weekly matinee score for this film. Could you imagine
9
if we
out
had
of 10.
Could you imagine if we had to score films? That would suck.
It's so arbitrary. Scoring films is so
This
arbitrary.
movie is a 2.
I don't think you can really.
A 2
score
out of
movie.
what?
Giving it up to
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess final thoughts. I absolutely. Do you want
I'm
to do?
joking.
I absolutely adore this movie. I love the characters. I love the themes in the movie. I love how they. I know. Shut up. Don't be. They're pointing out how serious I'm being.
No. I was saying I'm gonna go after you.
Oh, okay.
Continue.
I just love the whole movie as a whole. I have so much fun with it. You know what I mean? Like, especially, I'm not taking it serious at all. It's just a fun romp with a nice little message at the end. You know what I mean?
You would say that.
Oh, well. Okay.
I'm sorry, I had that joke. That's why I asked to go after you. No, I agree completely with what you said. If I was just like, yeah, you would say that, Matt.
Assassin me.
Yeah. No, but I completely agree with what you're saying. And its message isn't heavy-handed, but it's wholesome, and like it gets it across appropriately and in a fun way. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Did our podcast get in the way of your building burning down?
Is that a fire?
Yeah.
How dare they?
It definitely wasn't a police truck.
I don't know. It's just a truck honking.
Definitely wasn't a taxi. Please let
But-
this be a normal field trip.
With the friends? No way! But like I said, I completely, pretty much agree with you on
Yeah.
this movie.
Can you imagine a Magic School Bus movie?
Yeah, I could.
Well,
I think it'd be
it's
dope.
A horror centric.
Dude, I think that'd be
No,
dope.
It's directed by Jordan Peele.
Ari Aster. Directed by Ari Aster.
Oh yeah.
Director of Hereditary.
Final thoughts, Matt.
I thought it had some fun moments. The tag sequences had some really fun slapstick, and Isla Fisher was the standout for me. But a lot of the movie just
You really like
Matt just hated
Isle
this
of
movie.
Dogs.
I do like Isle of Dogs.
Oh, Isle of Dogs is such a good movie.
I was making a joke about her name.
Yeah.
Isle of Dogs
It's
is
a
really
good
good in
one,
this
Phil.
movie.
It's a good
But the
one.
movie as a whole isn't really something I want to revisit anytime soon.
How
What
dare
you
you.
did though? Oh well.
I had to.
You didn't have to.
How dare you? disrespect was
Thank you.
fine film.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Have a wonderful time.
Thank you for joining us. Go watch the movie because it is very, very good, despite what Matthew says.
Matt's
wrong.
Yeah, he's straight up
Yeah,
wrong.
no, I hate everything.
His opinion
You
is
know?
wrong.
My opinion is not
His
valid.
opinion is false.
Make sure you follow us on your favorite podcast.
And social media websites.